Anything big happen this weekend? Any future Hall of Famers retire in the prime of their career?
The biggest story maybe in the history of sports happened on Saturday night. That's the big debate going on right now because we are kind of like we're prisoners of the moment because we all are online all the time.
Yeah.
And so we can react to everything, which makes sports a lot more fun to watch and to follow. But when Andrew Luck retired...
Oh, I thought you were talking about Felipe Franks still being a fucking quarterback in
still
college
stinks.
football.
He still stinks. But when Andrew Luck retired... The discourse shifted almost immediately from like, oh, holy shit, Andrew Luck's retiring to, is this the craziest sports story to ever break?
Yes.
And while it was like a little bit shocking, I was not ready for it emotionally, and I had maybe drafted Andrew Luck in 3 out of my 5 fantasy leagues. It's pretty fucking shocking that he just decided to quit at that time. And the way that Schefter reported it, that whole thing, the story behind the story, I think there's still a lot that we have to learn about that.
So, well, someone leaked it, and then Schefter had the balls. So Schefter dropped the bomb, and then from everything that's been written about Andrew Luck, his plan was to tell his teammates after the game, the preseason game against the Bears, do a press conference on Sunday talking to the press. Instead, Schefter dropped it in the middle of the third quarter of the game. And Andrew Luck then left the field after the game to booze, which we'll get to that. And Schefter had the balls to tweet out, Andrew Luck said he expected to tell his teammates that he was retiring Sunday before his timeline got moved up. Now, Schefter did his job, but dude, you are the reason why the timeline got moved up. You announced it and basically blew up Andrew Luck's entire plan of telling his teammates first and then telling the media. So it was shocking. It was crazy. The reactions, like we said, the boos, I think everyone was like, that was probably not right. And you know what? I bet you everyone who booed, like when you take them out of the moment, like, yeah, you know what? I was feeling shitty. Our franchise quarterback just retired at age 29. I'd probably take a mulligan on that. I'd probably like that back. So I don't know which direction you want to go with it. I laugh so much about the internet, like the free points that were given out for everyone to fight the straw men, being like, Andrew Luck has the right to choose whatever he wants to choose. All you fans bitching and moaning. Where were the fans bitching and moaning? A lot of people thought it was weird.
The ones at the stadium, I think.
Yeah, but
that was like what they were picking out was like the boos as he
Right.
was walking off the field, and then you can go to like
Doug Gottlieb.
You can go to your 3 kings
Yeah.
of sports takes and check those out. Like Doug Gottlieb, I think Mad Doug Russo said something, and then man, I went straight to Danny Kanell.
Yeah.
Fuck Danny Kanell.
He didn't
Danny
bring it
Kanell
up.
for getting soft.
Yeah.
Danny's libbing out on us. That's a problem.
sucks.
I think he's a front runner for Lib of the Year next year.
He's smoking weed. But
Yeah.
no, but it was basically, and then Dockich as well. And Gottlieb got completely roasted and then tried to claim sarcasm, which it wasn't. And he got ratioed to the moon. His exact tweet, by the way, Doug Gottlieb, you know a guy doesn't know how to use Twitter when he says retiring because rehabbing is quote unquote too hard is the most millennial thing ever. Hashtag Andrew Luck. Just making sure that everyone knew that he was talking about Andrew Luck in the moment.
Anyone searching for Andrew Luck on Twitter in that moment can get their take straight from Doug.
But my bigger point is that I really don't. I think there were a lot of people who are just getting free internet points by claiming Andrew Luck has the right to do whatever he wants, which he does. I actually think that this, like when you hear him talk about the cycle of rehab and how he hasn't been right for a very long time, and Ryan Grigson should basically go to, like, he should be charged with war crimes.
Gitmo.
What he
Just
did.
put him in send him down to Cuba.
Andrew Luck's
and
first
waterboard
4 years in the NFL, he got hit more than any other quarterback. They didn't have an offensive line protecting a franchise quarterback. So I get where Andrew Luck's coming from. I just don't understand why it has to be all or nothing. I think Colts fans, I'm going to speak up for Colts fans for a second. I think it's totally fair for Colts fans to be like, you know what? This fucking sucks.
Well, yeah, so I think that the big problem that the Colts fans would be entitled to have is the fact that this is 2 out of the last 3 seasons that Jim Irsay has basically told them we've got Andrew Luck going into this year, and then they don't. That brings up a whole other can of worms.
Which is what I think Dockich's big point was.
Well, that's not what he tweeted out on Saturday, though, but that's what he's tried to cover it up with. But I think that Irsay, and the fact that he's paying Andrew Luck $25 million, like that's hush money right there. I don't know what Andrew Luck knows. He knows a lot of shit about a lot of shit.
Well,
and he knows a lot of stuff about Jim Irsay. There's a reason why Jim Irsay was rolling around in his Mercedes Benz with $30,000 in cash in a bag. That was hush money for Jim Sorgi.
I think Andrew Luck. I think Jim Irsay is hoping that Andrew Luck, after a year of being getting away from the game, maybe getting healthy, is going to say, hey, I really miss football and I want to come back. So that was, to me, a play by the Colts, and you have to take that risk. Like, hey, if Andrew Luck decides he wants to play again, we want him to be like, I'm playing for the Colts no matter what, even though he's under contract and it would have been a whole thing.
He's going to the XFL.
But he could have been like, I don't want to play for the Colts, but I want to come back. This now makes it, if he ever does want to come back, it's going to be for the Colts. But the Jim Irsay is, I mean, he's just such a weird character in this whole thing, because I'm pretty sure he's the one who leaked it to Adam Schefter.
Yeah, so Irsay's like, he's always kind of tripping a little bit on some weird asset that he's done in the past. So when he found out that Andrew Luck was going to retire, he was probably like, man, I can't be dishonest to my friend Adam. I need to give him a call.
Right.
And he like hits him up. Maybe butt dials him. I don't know. I don't know how Adam Schefter gets. Maybe the Patriots have the Colts facilities bugged. That's when, okay, now it's all come together. McDaniels goes to Indianapolis, interviews to be their head coach, sticks a bug under the table. Now he's got all the info coming out of Indy. They call Schefter. Schefter reports it before Luck's ready.
Oh, okay, so they got him that way.
Yes.
But keep the bug there, and they'll never find the bug. Irsay would never find the bug.
People in the organization didn't know until yesterday either.
Well, so the timeline doesn't really make sense, because they said that he's been mulling this for a few weeks now, and almost it sounds like he kind of had his decision made a couple weeks ago. I actually think Andrew Luck, like the way he describes it, and there's been rumors that he has arthritis in his shoulder, and if he kept on playing, he wouldn't be able to like basically use his shoulder. And he's a smart guy, made a lot of money, obviously has a lot of hobbies outside of football. And so it makes sense for him. I'm more speaking from a fan perspective. Everyone jumps in saying, Andrew Luck, like Andrew Luck doesn't owe you anything. And that's true. Mm-hmm. But I still think Colts fans can be like, you know what? This fucking sucks.
Yeah, but they've got Swag Kelly ready to step up at a moment's notice.
The other thing that I was thinking about was, when we always laugh about the combine interviews and the Josh Rosen, like, is this player too smart?
Yes, 100%.
It absolutely is a real question. Everyone mocks it, including ourselves, but everyone, the blue checkmark brigade usually mocks it like, oh, you can't have interest out of football. Well, this is actually a perfect case where Andrew Luck is a very smart guy. He has a ton of interests outside of football. I think he loved football. I think the injuries made him fall out of love with football because he's like, you know what? There's more to life than this. And it proves yet again the NFL wants in the guys they draft, they want robots. Mm-hmm. They want guys who are going to do anything for the team no matter what. They don't want guys who have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
And so that's why you hear the reports before draft being like, this guy's too smart. And that's actually a thing.
Right. I'll put it this way. Ben Roethlisberger is never in danger
Correct.
of thinking about anything besides how he's going to extend this play.
Right.
Like he's like a dog that gets fixated on a bone, and that bone is football.
Ben Roethlisberger's body is falling apart, and the only reason he would retire is because he hates who's his name? Todd
Haley.
Todd Haley, right. That's why he'll retire.
To spite Todd Haley.
Not because his body's falling apart.
Yeah, if Ben Roethlisberger's nipples fell off before a game, he'd just be like, oh, well, I got to go out there and sling it and see if I can't gut this one out 17-14. Like, yeah, you're right. There is an element of like, yes, Andrew Luck, he not too smart to play football, but in a way it's like, you can't trick him into playing football any longer than he has to.
Right, and I love from like take it outside of football. You love someone who has the wherewithal to be like, hey, you know what? Football's not everything. Sports aren't everything. I want my health more than anything else. That's a great move for Andrew Luck, because there's a lot of guys who you see hang around for way too long, and their bodies deteriorate. But next time that happens in the combine, in the draft process, and everyone mocks the guy who's too smart, this is why teams look at it this way. And you might not agree with it, but they're saying we're going to make an investment. We don't want someone who is going to think for themselves and be like, hey, my health is more important than football. Mm-hmm. As crazy as that sounds, because that's actually the way you should think, but not the way NFL teams want their players to think.
Exactly.